Hey guys, so I'm really excited to go over this with you today. Whether you're a brand new agent and you're just starting to figure out how and what goals are reasonable and what you're shooting for to accomplish this coming year, or maybe you've been in the business for a number of years, found success in it, but never really sat down to crunch numbers and figure out what you need to do on a week to week basis in order to achieve the goals that you've set out for yourself. I'm hoping that this spreadsheet will be helpful for that, to really break down what needs to be done on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. There are two parts to this spreadsheet. This one right here is the goal sheet, and then you'll see down here below I have 1 through 12 months, and these are for you to actually track what you're doing. Now, I did put in some information right here. Obviously, this information is not going to be accurate, but because they're not going to do 120 showings in a day. But I just put this information in here as a placeholder so that we can actually get some metrics over here, some percentages. And the way that this works is you'd come in on day one, whatever that is, whether that's a Monday, Tuesday, whatever. You'll see that there are 31 days on each one of these. Obviously, not every month has 31 days, but you just start day 1 of December, whatever that is. And you put in here, I did X number of listing presentations, X number of listings actually took me as their listing agent of choice, and I got the X number of listings. How many listings went under contract, and all the way through. Buyer consult / first showing. I do want to specify what this is. Buyer consult / first showing. Not all of your buyers will you sit down with and have a buyer consult at the office or at a Starbucks. Some of them, I would say more than half of them, you're going to just do a first showing with them. And those folks are going to just fall into the same group, whether that's a buyer consult, an official sit down buyer consult, or that first showing. Just put them in here. That's what we're talking about in this box. All of this information, once you start to tabulate it, you're going to find out, okay, so for every listing presentation that I do, out of 10 of those, I'm going to take, for this example, 90%. Okay. And then that means that I have 9 listings. And then of those 9 listings, I'm going to have 8 of them will get under contract, because some of them just frankly will be overpriced or whatever the issue is. They're not all going to get under contract. And then of the ones that get under contract, because some of them still fall apart, you're going to get 7 of them sold. That's just this example. These numbers will change as you put in your own numbers here. This is just an example based on the numbers that I have here. The same is true for your buyer funnel. The only difference here is that instead of a percentage being generated, it's just the number of showings that you're doing for each one of the buyers that you take on. Now, this is the number of buyers that you did a consult with or you did a first time showing with who are going to continue to work with you. And then you're going to do X number of showings for each one of those, and that'll give you your total number of showings, and then so on and so forth, all the way down through your funnel until you get to your closed deals. So this portion I do want to mention is something that eventually you're probably going to outgrow. And the reason for that is in CRMs, customer relationship management systems, and I'm not going to go through naming all of them, but you can reach out to us and we can help you with that. But a lot of those are going to track much of this information automatically. So you won't have to come in here and enter it in. It'll just pick it up from your calendar every time you put something on the calendar in there that, hey, I'm meeting for a showing with blah, blah, blah. Okay, you've got another showing that came on there. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them will generate this information for you. It's still really not a bad idea to do this, though. I mean, really, if you have the discipline to sit down every day, this shouldn't take more than, not even a minute to do. So really not a bad thing to do, but understanding that there may come a time when you have better systems and programs. This is very basic by design. So that it really fits anybody. But again, you may outgrow it eventually. So that's the tracker portion. And with this information, we're going to come over here to our goals sheet. Now, this part of it, I really don't care how long you've been in the business. This should be helpful to you because at the end of the day, keeping track of our numbers in that is step one, but that should really correlate to a goal that we have. And sometimes if you're brand new, your difficulty is going to be, okay, what is a reasonable goal? And we can help you with that a little bit, but you need to have a number too about what do I need to pay all my bills? Where do I need to end up for savings? What makes this worth doing to me? And that's going to be different for everybody. If you've been in the business for a while, you probably have a good idea of what you generated last year. And maybe you're saying, well, I want to up that by 10, 20, 30% this year. Okay, great. But my guess is that you don't really have a good idea as to what that means for a weekly basis or a monthly basis as far as work and activities done regularly. And I really think that keeping track of your information and what you're doing, and then this will generate what you're going to have to do for every one of these tasks for the year. And then you just divide that by 365 if you want to know by the day, if you want to know by the week, divide it by how many weeks in a year. And then if you want to know by the month, obviously just divide by 12. So let's go through what we have here. We have two sections. Zillow Flex is here and our normal sales are over here. And then they're pulling information for these two. So this is the normal broker fees. That's for this side over here. The Zillow fees, that's for the Zillow Flex over here. Now, the only pieces of information that you will have to enter on this spreadsheet are the goal number, how much you want to see net in your pocket at the end of the year. This is your take-home number. And likewise over here, this is your take-home number. The other thing that you're going to have to adjust is what your ratio of buyers to sellers will be. Is that going to be 50-50? If you've been in the business for a fair amount of time, probably 50-50, maybe even a little bit heavier on the seller side. If you have not been in the business very long, this is your first year, this is probably going to be closer to 90%, and this might be closer to 10% because you're usually going to be very, very buyer heavy. It's important to have a realistic idea as to what your proportion of buyers to sellers will be and enter that information in here. Obviously, it's really important if you put in 10% here, make sure that it is 100% if you were to add these two sides up. Okay? These two sides are totally independent of each other. So what you do over here does not affect what you do over here. And the reason that I have both of these on here, for some of you, you are just doing your own sphere. Okay, then that makes it very simple. You are only going to be working on this side. But those of you that have Zillow Flex, even if Zillow Flex is your primary area that you are going to do business, let's say you're brand new, and you have a goal of $100,000, I would still recommend you say that you're going to do 90,000, if I could type, 90,000 in the Zillow Flex, but you're still going to or should be able to do 10,000 in traditional sales over here. So making sure that these two sides, your Zillow Flex and your normal sales, are in proportion with each other. And again, if you're brand new, we can help coach you through that, or even if you're not, we can help give you a little bit of guidance just based on what we've seen. But you're going to want to make sure that these are kind of proportional. And then again, buyers to sellers, that these numbers are proportional. And you would do the same over here. You'd say, all right, I'm brand new. I'm going to do 10% here. I'm going to do 90% here. Then that is going to give you these numbers. All right. So let's say you're brand new and you have a $100,000 goal, 90,000 plus your $10,000 here. You're going to do 10% sellers listings, and you're going to do 90% buyers. And likewise over here, you're going to do the same, 10% for listings, 90% for buyers. And that is going to generate for you that you are going to need to do just over 3.5 listings. You're going to end up with just about 3 listings. You're going to get just under 3 listings under contract, and you're going to sell approximately 2.6 listings total. And then for the buy side over here, you're going to have 14 buyers that you will actually be working with. That doesn't mean your total amount of first-time showings or buyer consults, but you're going to have 14 that will stick with you. And for this example purpose, you're going to do 11. You're going to have 11 showings for each one of these. So that's 150 showings. And then you work straight down through. You'll have 23 buyers that'll close with Zillow Flex, and you'll have just under 3 listings from Zillow Flex. And then if you come over here, it's the exact same thing, except you're going to have just under 4 buyers, and you might have 1 listing over here. So that's how these numbers work. Now, these proportions, these percentages right here, these are going to be what you will bring over from the information that you start to generate based on your numbers. Okay, so then these should reflect your numbers here. So you'll take these numbers, take your average, bring it over, drop them in here. If you're usually converting for every listing presentation, you're getting 80% of those, 8 out of 10 of them, and you'll know that because you're looking at this number. So that would be 80, 82%. And let's say it's 80, 82 straight across the board or close to it. You can take an average if you want. I'd recommend doing an average. You'll put that number in here. That's going to give you your numbers of what you need to do based on your market, how long you've been in the business. The only other thing I would say to that, so these are numbers that we have generated based on what Jackie has done. And a lot of these numbers over here from like what Mike has done. Your numbers are going to be different. Even if you've been in the business for a long time, your numbers are going to be different. If you're working with high-end clients, really high-end luxury homes versus, really, really basic homes, and market cycles are different too. So these numbers are not going to be the same, but it's a really good idea to know, hey, what are other people out there finding that they're converting? What's their conversion rate at this? Hey, how many of your listings are you finding are getting under contract? And these are numbers that most people aren't going to have off the top of their head. But if you ask Jackie, Mike, these are numbers that we'd be able to provide to you via email if you were curious, just so that you have a benchmark. Because you really, you might think you're doing really, really well. And then you find out, gee, I could convert a little bit better here. Well, that might give us a perfect opportunity to say, hey, how is your listing presentation? Hey, let's sit down and go through it. You just role play. Let's see how it looks. And then we can shore up some areas where maybe it needed a little bit of tweaking. But then you find, hey, over here, you're doing a lot fewer showings than maybe we are, but you're doing a much better job presenting, or whatever the case may be. These metrics will let you know where you need to improve and where you're doing well. So it gives you an opportunity, gives us an opportunity to coach you in the areas that you need the most help. The other thing that you will want to tweak, and I wouldn't recommend doing it right away unless you know the number and what it's going to be, is the home value. Now, I didn't highlight it in green because this is not a cell that you're going to change much. This might change once a year. You might look back in January and go, gee, my average sale price was closer to 200. Okay, put in 200. There you go. So that will change the number of homes that you have to sell. I put in 180 in our area. Even if you're relatively new, 180 is a pretty decent price point. If you've been in the business for a while, there's a really good chance you're closer to 250, 280 range. So that number will adjust. And obviously for people working on the lake, they're going to do much fewer sales, but their number up here is going to be a lot larger. But that's a number that you're going to want to adjust probably once a year. So that is something to pay attention to. I think we've hit just about everything. Obviously, if you have questions about this, this is a tool for you to track your productivity, for you to see how much work you need to be doing. And again, these are the numbers over here. And if I didn't touch on it, I want to make sure I do. These are the numbers. These are your yearly productivity numbers. This is what every year you're going to have to do in order to hit your goal, right? So if you want to know how much you have to do every single day, or I would ideally say once a week. Daily, it gets a little too hard because there's no way you're going to cut these, that small. But anyway, it's really, it would be really easy to divide your number of showings, 150 divided into, 52 weeks? I might be wrong about that. 52 weeks, I think, in a year. Well, divide the number of weeks into a year, and then you'll know per week how many showings you should be doing. And adjust a little bit too for seasonality. If it's summertime, you should be doing more than that. And if it's wintertime, you're going to do a little bit less. But it should average out to this goal number. So I hope this helped. Again, this is really meant to be a tool for you to track things, for us to be able to then see where you need help the most, and use this to set your goals, use this to track your productivity, use this to see where maybe there might be some weak spots where you're not converting at the level you should be. And let us know if you have any questions. We're really hoping that this will give you some insight into what is possible, what you should be able to do. And so let us know what your thoughts are. And if you need any help with any of this, we're happy to help out. So thanks a lot.